Everything's awkward. Just living's awkward. I hate living.
I laugh at everything and anything.
You're not supposed to say that because now when I think I've written something funny, you're not laughing because it's funny. You're laughing just because you laugh. One of our last episodes, I was slurping and you were like, yuck, that's disgusting. You're just so disagreeable.
No, you're the one who's disagreeable.
And you've actually taken probably one of the darkest subjects we could have had and not done the dark thing, which I'm surprised about and I think was actually really cool that you did that. Hello and welcome back to the Ghost Book Archive. This is chapter 10 and today this is all about monster hunting. I'm Ryan and as always, I'm joined by Zilver.
Hi.
That was your most pathetic wave yet. Just this little hand coming up from... It doesn't even look like your hand. It's just the way, the position it's coming from. It's like someone else is just reaching up at...
Hi.
Yeah, no, I don't. Waving's a weird thing. Why do people wave?
I know, especially when you're like... I think it's like to get someone's attention, like, hello, hello, when somebody's not seeing you. But people do it now, like, okay, bye, and you're in their face and you wave in their face. I'm like...
That probably does make sense. People would wave for attention. That's probably...
I think maybe that's where it came from.
I would presume that's correct.
Yeah, I'm just smart.
So smart. Do you know what I hate, though? I hate snapping fingers because I can't do it. I don't know what that's got to do with... I don't know what that's got to do with waving your hand. I just hate the feeling of even trying to do it. I don't like rubbing my skin together like that. It's like, makes me cringe. And clapping's so annoying and it's so loud. Really? I don't like clapping. It's fine. Oh, a little bit done. But when people are sitting there and they're going over and they clap for everything. I've been to like big award ceremonies and stuff, and people are just clapping all night, and there's 300 people getting up to go get their diplomas or something.
Yeah,
and
true.
Just clap. Oh,
it's
awful.
To show support.
I blame I just blame the sensory things.
Poetry slams and stuff. They do this.
I hate that because I can't do it. I guess.
Yeah, you can't do it.
And people I know, there's a thing they do jazz hands, and I think that's really stupid. Have you seen that?
That's for deaf people.
Yeah, but there's a whole movement of people who are pushing that because they think it's not nice to clap in case there's anyone in the room who doesn't like it or has issues. So instead they say everyone should be doing jazz hands. But it's kind of stupid because if you're doing jazz hands, it's not the same. Someone's going up to collect an award and all the audience are just doing this. I don't know. It's a bit silly.
I don't know. It's still like weird to clap. So changing it for another weird thing, like why does it matter?
But I feel like part of the point of the clapping is you're making some noise. Like people say, let's make some noise. And it's like cheering. Yeah,
I do enjoy like going to events and actually participating and clapping and like cheering people on. So yeah.
Everyone around me is always just sitting clapping and I'm like,
I think people can do what they want as long as they show support. Like if they want to do this, I think it's good for people who like enjoy doing that, And yeah, I would rather clap, but yeah.
I like to think I'm showing support by being there in the first place.
That's sitting there like...
Yeah, I mean, being there. The fact that I've turned up, I think that's me showing support.
Yeah, but if you're not like clapping at all, it doesn't...
Yeah, it does get a little bit awkward, especially if you're the only person not doing it.
Yeah, it's just
that's when I was younger, I used to go on school trips to like the pantomime and the theater and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so during it, it's like you're supposed to shout out essentially to the pantomime. It's like you boo the villains and you cheer. So everyone was always cheering for the hero and booing the villains, but I do the opposite. I always used to cheer for the hero and boo cheer for the villain and boo the hero. And I used to complain to the teachers, why does the bad guy never win?
Because he's the bad guy.
Yeah, that always annoyed me. I just wanted to see just some production where the bad guy wins. That would have made
You just need the extra attention,
Clearly.
Yeah. Everyone needs to look at you.
There was another one when I was younger. I can't remember who took me. Someone in my family took me to a rugby match. Maybe my dad. And it was Scotland versus some other country. It might have been England or something. But I was basically cheering for the opposite team instead. And there was another one. We went to a Battle of Bannockburn reenactment. They're all fighting each other and you're supposed to cheer on the Scottish as they're driving back the English. But I'm cheering for the English just because everyone else was booing them. I've always been like that. Just always been a troublemaker.
Yeah, you just got to be special.
I liked that when I was in Norway, I liked the little... reenactment thing where they were shooting with the guns at
Oh,
that
me
little
too.
museum. Although it did get tiring real quick when they kept shooting. Every time they shot, you could actually feel it in my chest. It
Yeah,
was,
that was
yeah.
loud.
It's like when you got booming music, and those guns were so loud. And was it a
Yeah, all the
cannon?
children were like crying and screaming.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
That
fine. That
was
was I
so
could feel
funny.
it thundering, and it was outside. It was insane.
Yeah,
It was pretty cool. I kind of liked it for at least the
yeah.
first 5 minutes.
It was like kind of an event for children, and they were all like dying, crying, and screaming.
Should have
I was
thrown
like,
them in front of the guns.
yeah, like, why are you scared?
It's not
But
like they're pointing the guns at you.
it was kind of loud though.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
was. If you,
I get it.
especially if you're not expecting it, it's pretty frightening.
Yeah,
I
but some
jumped
of
the
the
first
kids
time.
probably don't know where they are or what they're doing because they're too
True.
young to know. So
Yeah.
they just show up somewhere and it's just cannons being fired. I'm like, why is this a children's event though?
We've just time traveled.
Yeah.
That would be terrifying, just time traveling and you show up. Anyway, we should get into this, right? We should
Yeah.
actually get into what we're doing. So, for this episode, we have both created bestiary pages. And so, what that means is we've both actually created some sort of creature. We have done a little diagram, a drawing for it as well, and detailed what this creature is. And then we have also gone on to write little stories that kind of involve these creatures as well. And so we set out to do these stories. We were very much from a dialogue perspective. So we were both we spoke about this in previous episodes about how, for example, Zilver has never been very confident with dialogue. So I was like, let's do something. Let's force you to do a bit more dialogue. Let's do something a bit
Yeah.
more focused on dialogue. And so that's what we're trying to do with this. So the prompt here that we were doing was a monster hunter talking with a monster. And so I don't know, would you like to start or should I start?
You can start.
Okay, I will start. And so I'm going to start off by reading the story because I want to leave the creature a little bit more mysterious. And then afterwards, I will get to reading the bestiary page that I've actually created for that creature so that you can kind of get an idea properly for the beast that I have made. I need to think of these voices I'm using. This entire story has no descriptions, by the way. It's my story. There's not even the word said. It's just entirely dialogue.
Damn.
So
That's
I've got
interesting.
the shadows cannot hide you. Not from you, I see. Or from that little girl. Slowly now, no sudden movements. So she did see me. I wasn't certain of it. Usually there's more screaming involved. She did not seem too bothered. Bothered enough to have her father seek me out. Had you not wondered why they hadn't returned home? I said slow movements, Blobfang. Don't mistake my patience for incompetence. Move like that again and I'll swipe this blade through your mandible. Do you really have no qualms about killing an endangered species? You're a trespasser that does not belong here. One who entered this home without so much as a knock, who has roamed freely around it as though it were your own, decorating the dark corners with unwanted trails. And you have grown. That means you've been feasting. The last I saw one of your kind, they were barely the size of a kitten. But you're the size of a human child. I admit I have fed. I am not ashamed of it, for if I had not, I would be dead, and my kind closer to extinction because of it. Do you have any idea how desperate I had to be to come to this place? I'm not interested, Blobfang. Horinthius. Huh? My name is Horinthius. You expect me to address a monster by the requested name? You do know what I am, do you not? I do. Is decorum really that far removed from you? Coming from a demonic thing such as, you may not be the only killer here, sir, but only one of us is innocent, and it is certainly not you. What's that? Speechless now, are we? Devouring. Do not start with that. As I already made clear, if I did not hunt, I would be dead. There is venom infused in my soft, malleable fangs, but I was born this way. What's your excuse? If you were to count up all the lives you've taken, how long would you be counting? Humanity needs protectors. Protectors? You fancy yourself some kind of hero, a defender of the innocent. How many creatures have tasted your steel just for the mere crime of daring to live? I kill those who harm human life. And where is your evidence of me doing such a thing? Where are my victims? I presume you have evidence to back up these serious accusations. You are intruding in a home that is not yours, terrorizing a delicate family. You don't truly believe that. I've been living in this house for almost a month without incident. I have not harmed a single human. Then explain your size. You've been eating something, and it certainly isn't oats. Am I really this threatening? Stay back. Last warning, Blubfang. Horinthius. It does not matter. That little girl who you claim not to have harmed, I saw the marks on her arms. And do not play me for a fool, Horinthius. I know what those marks are. Is she in pain? I wouldn't know, and it matters not. I thought human hearts were supposed to be larger than mine, yet you would kill me with malice, not the essence of your blood. There is no poison bubbling within your mouth. You are draining the life out of that girl. I am not. Then explain your size. There are others, dozens of them. I take small amounts from each of them, so small they'd never notice. It is against my morals to do harm to others. A monster with a conscience. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to believe nothing. You have shown me your colours, just as I have attempted to show you mine. But just try to find a single case in this city where someone has suffered from my actions. You will find not one. I am sorry for scaring the girl, but I do not believe that being seen should cost me my life. Say I were to spare your life. Would you expect me to just let you remain here? What of the family you have now taken advantage of? I will not leave. I cannot. You're not helping yourself, Horinthius. Where would you have me go? The world is hostile to my kind. I cannot survive out in the wild surrounded by beasts. They'd sniff me out and put an end to me. Only here in the city, surrounded by humans, can I truly hide. I have been clear, Blubfang. I do pity you somewhat, but this is no place for you. You cannot remain here. You will have no say in it. The end.
Whoa. Okay. Damn, Blubfang.
What does that make you think? What sort of creature are you imagining when you hear that?
Fang. Like a blub with fangs.
And so like something
a blob.
blubby. What do you think of as blob?
Just like maybe a thing that's like round with like bumps. That's a special, unique name. You're so good at dialogue. Like, wow. Because you get right into it. There's no like, oh, what is happening? It's just like, whoa, this is happening. And you're very good at reading as well. Especially with the voices.
I want to, before I say anything else about this, I want to say this was actually partially inspired by a poem. I don't know who the author was. It was like an anonymous TikTok account. I saw this maybe over a year ago, and it was like an anonymous author of this poem, and they had written a poem about a spider, just a regular spider, and it was just this almost philosophical take on a person killing a spider just for daring to show its face in the living room and like to live. And it was basically then from the spider's perspective, like moralizing it, saying, okay, I may kill and but I've actually got a reason for it. I've got like poison hiding behind my fangs and stuff. Whereas what's your excuse just because you were a little scared? And so I had that in my mind. And so even some of the lines are almost very similar to the stuff that was in that original poem, the very short poem. But I was definitely inspired by that. And so I wanted to make something that was almost a bit more morally ambiguous, where it's not just like a traditional, oh, it's a monster about to be slain or something and they're evil, but it was more that this monster actually had a conscience. This monster wasn't necessarily evil. Like, sure, it's still doing something bad because it's feasting on people and it's living in this house and stuff, but there's a bit more to it than that. It's a bit more complex, and you can tell this creature is obviously, it's intelligent and it can speak and it can do all these other things. So I like that idea, and just having that back and forth, almost a little bit of philosophy in there as well. Just these people having that little bit of an argument.
The last part is why people are scared of spiders. He just killed him, right?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit vague because you don't really know what happened. You just know something's.
It was like a kiss.
It sounds like he's probably dead or something, but you don't know exactly what.
The monster kissed him.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I feel like I would rather, once you see my drawing of this, I think I would rather it killed me than kissed me. it's
Wow.
it's a pretty
Okay.
ugly thing.
Okay, now
Yeah,
I'm excited to see the drawing. Are you gonna show it now?
I will get to it. We'll talk a little bit more about
Okay,
this
yeah.
first, and then we'll get to it. But yeah, I was very intent on having no descriptions really. I wanted to keep it entirely dialogue, and that's why even
Yeah.
there was a couple of lines where he's saying, "Oh, stay back," and that was just, instead of
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, he was coming," the monster was coming towards him. I wanted to just say, "Well, he's telling it to stay back," and that
Mm-hmm.
symbolizes like we've had this conversation before about
Yeah.
how you can use dialogue to do those sort of things, and I like doing that. And I think it flows
Yeah.
better when the way I have done it.
Yeah, it flows very well. I feel like you always have such good dialogue even when there's like not a lot of it, but
Mm,
especially when you focus on the dialogue, I feel like it's very immersive and I always get like completely drawn in and it's sort of like more easy to understand what's going on almost
yeah,
because the descriptions are kind of um, subtle, but you can sort of
yeah.
yeah feel it.
And you get a feel for each character by the
Yeah.
words that they say. Right? Like I don't always describe the characters great, but you get it from just the things they say. You can tell the type of person they are, or you
Mm-hmm.
can start to imagine, well, that person's a bit pretentious and a bit up themselves, so they're probably dressed well, and you can start to make certain assumptions
Right.
about things just
Yeah.
from the way someone's speaking. I agree that dialogue is probably one of my strengths, and it's also, I would say, my favorite thing to write when I'm writing. I love writing dialogue. I feel like it's so much more fast paced and it just flows out of
Yeah.
me easier for some reason. I don't know what else what are you imagining this thing looks like? So you're saying like a bit of blub with fangs or
Well,
something?
you did send me like a little
Yeah, I did.
blurred teaser picture,
Hmm.
and it looked like long legs. So I'm just
Yeah,
imagining sort of like a demo gorgon ish, you know, the not the
yeah, yeah,
small ones, but the big one. You know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
one in the what season? Season 3 or something.
I can't remember. It's been so long of
Okay, yeah.
Stranger Things.
Anyways, like just a black shadowy being with more legs, and yeah, maybe like a spider because you did like say
Yeah,
got inspired by spider things. So yeah.
we're gonna get to that in a second, but yeah, it's definitely there's. Let's just get to it and you'll see.
Okay.
So.
Ooh. Oh my god, it wasn't legs. What is that? Is it
Those are
legs?
legs.
Oh, they
Yeah.
are legs. Oh my god, that's a cute drawing. Good job.
Blubfangs are a rare species of vampiric arachnids. Their defining trait is their ability to shapeshift their stored body mass into different forms, which helps them to effectively hide themselves from other creatures and blend in with their surroundings. They are highly intelligent, and there are even some reports of blubfangs that have been able to converse with humans. Unlike other vampiric creatures, blubfangs have soft, squishy fangs that are of no use for penetrating flesh. Their fangs are coated in a venom that can paralyze its prey and breaks down outer layers of flesh. After the flesh has been broken down, a blubfang can sink its fangs into its victim, drawing out fat reserves. Blubfangs like to store as much fat as possible from their prey, as more fat means they have more mass to sculpt. There is no limit to how much fat a blobfang can store. In theory, they could be anywhere between the size of a small mouse all the way up to the size of a large house. In their natural form, before storing any fat, blobfangs do not look all that different to other arachnids. With 8 legs and excellent climbing abilities, they are not pretty creatures. Blobfangs are not considered to be dangerous to humans while still the size of a small animal. As a general rule, they tend to only be a threat to creatures up to 5 times their size. Their poison simply isn't potent enough to threaten creatures any larger than that. As they feed and grow in size, however, they become much more of a threat to other creatures, including humans, as their venom becomes more plentiful, making up for the lack of intrinsic potency. They are not known to be formidable in combat, though larger ones with lots of poison stored up should not be taken lightly. Blubfangs are essentially immortal, so long as they continue to feed regularly. It is advised that blubfangs should be exterminated as early as possible before they get the chance to grow into a problem.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can see why you don't want to kiss it. It looks horrific and
Yeah.
disgusting, and also I like that it's an intelligent being. Like spiders kind of seem intelligent because they can like weave webs and
Hmm.
they like do all of these things like wrap their prey up in the
Yeah.
webs and all of that. So it makes sense that a spider type of creature would be very
Hmm.
smart.
I agree with that. And just to make it a little more clear, in case it wasn't, with the image, you can see there's all these legs, and that's essentially
Mm-hmm.
like the spider legs. And so my idea was that this creature essentially has, when it is just born, it basically looks like a spider. It's a spider
Oh,
born. But
okay.
once it starts feeding, fat grows on top of it, and it
Oh.
just keeps feeding, and it can feed as much as it wants, and the fat just keeps gathering. And that's why when you look on above the legs, well, underneath, since it's upside down in this image, that's all the fat kind of growing upwards out of it, and it can shapeshift that fat into any form it chooses. It could turn and look like a human, it could turn and look like anything, but the legs always stay there. So it's always got the spider legs on the bottom, but everything above it just can grow and grow and grow, and that can morph into any sort of shape. That's also why they're not very good in combat, because it's not like they suddenly got bones or anything up here. It is
Yeah.
just flesh. It is just fat. So they're very soft and sort of squishy.
Squishy.
Yeah. They're kind of they're
Soft.
gross things. They're just imagine made out of fat, and they're
Mm-hmm.
just shape
Yeah.
shifting it around and into different shape. And that's why they can hide, and that's why it would be able
Mm-hmm.
to hide in someone's house, for example,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
it could make itself flat. It could make itself any sort of shape to hide in the shadows and stuff. So
That's
it's
very creative. I really like the idea of something that sort of feeds off of fat without actually properly eating someone. It's just
yeah.
like sucking the fat out,
Well, I would
kind
say
of.
that they probably would be eating them if they took all your fat out. That's not going to do well. I mean, people have 0% body fat, obviously, but it's going to weaken you, and it's going to do all these other things. And their venom does paralyze people, so they can really harm you.
Mm-hmm.
But this one in the story is saying that he's feeding small amounts from multiple people, and
Yeah.
so they're
Okay.
not really noticing other than the arms, the marks on their arms and stuff. And that's because obviously, if you're melting away some of their skin, there's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a mark left over. But yeah,
Very interesting. It's
that was
very
my
ugly and disgusting.
yeah. I
I
definitely
do
don't want
hate
to get.
spiders, so that would be like a nightmare situation for me. Just imagine sleeping and you wake up and there's like a fat sucking spider on you. I would not be okay.
Or it's just above you, hanging off the ceiling, staring in
Oh
your
hell
face,
no, hell
and it's like,
no. And then it
hello.
drops onto you.
Oh,
I would just
and
be
you can't
okay
get it
with
off because it's too
yeeting.
heavy, and all the fat's just flowing around,
Mm,
and it's probably
mm-mm,
slimy and stuff
mm-mm.
as well. Mm-hmm.
Ugh,
I don't
no,
like it.
no thanks. Oh
Yeah,
god.
I don't like
That's a
that at all.
nightmare type of monster. You
Yeah, it's
created a
pretty.
good monster. Like a
Yeah.
monster that's actually scary. I would say that mine isn't scary.
No, it doesn't have to be scary,
Yeah.
but we will. Well, I'm ready to hear what yours is. I'm ready to hear what you've created. I'm excited to hear what your thing is.
Could you imagine them like being empathetic enough to like be a friend to humans?
I would be more likely to believe these creatures. I mean, and at the end of the bestiary page, I wrote that they're advised like people exterminate them before they become a problem. There's also mention of uh, how if he was to kill this creature, it would be putting the creature closer to extinction, its species. So this is an endangered
Mm-hmm.
species.
Yeah.
This is an
Okay.
endangered species that basically does not have any time for humans, because humans have killed them all. Basically, they've been killed off and killed off and
Mm-hmm.
killed off. As soon as they're seen, they're just killed off because people are terrified of them. Even though they're intelligent, people don't have any sort of empathy for them or anything like that. So these creatures probably aren't inherently dangerous in the sense they're not going to come up and attack you. They're very
Yeah.
much types of creatures that are going to come for you in your sleep, and they're going to feed on you. But as this creature was saying during the story,
Mm-hmm.
it's doing it out of necessity. It
Mm-hmm.
has to feed, or else it
Yeah.
will die. And so it becomes that really weird conundrum of, well, what is the right thing here? Is it okay for it to do that sort of thing? Is it
Mm-hmm.
suddenly an evil creature because it's feeding on people? Is that
Mm.
does that make it okay or not? And so it does bring a moral sort of question in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't say. I think they are like they could be a friend in theory. Like it's possible because they are intelligent. A lot of them can speak and
Mm-hmm.
communicate, so it is possible in theory. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it would be very likely because they have this inherent hatred of humans for basically exterminating them throughout all of time because they're
Yeah, but it
killing.
also had morals. You said it. wouldn't like kill or hurt
But
anyone because of its
sure,
morals.
but can you trust it? That's a question. I wanted to leave that.
Yeah,
That's also just because the creature said that doesn't mean
true.
it's actually doing it. For example, right at the end of the story, the creature has it seems that the creature has just attacked and maybe killed or paralyzed the hunter. And the hunter wasn't about
True. Or
I mean, maybe
kissed.
the hunter was telling him, okay, you're not allowed to, like, I'm not letting you stay here. But he didn't at that point, he had started to come around as the story goes. At first, he refuses to call the creature Horinthius. He refuses to say its name, he
Mm-hmm.
said it doesn't matter. And then as it goes on, he actually changes his tune and he
Mm-hmm.
actually starts calling the creature by its name. And then
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, he actually says, I actually have some pity for you. I actually feel a little bit bad. And so he is starting to be won a little bit around and he starts to actually
Mm-hmm.
entertain the question of maybe letting the thing live if maybe it leaves this place and stuff like that. Whereas at the start, he was definitely going to kill it.
Yeah,
So,
true.
but still, regardless of all that, the creature has attacked him at the end. Something has happened there. And that was without the guy about to strike it or anything. So, can you really take the thing? I mean, it's intelligent, remember. It's not as simple as, oh, well, it's just defending itself. This thing actually can think.
Mm-hmm.
It's capable of plotting. It's capable of maybe trying to disarm the other person with its words. And so it's kind of open ended. I'm not saying that's definitely what happened. It could be kind of either way. It's kind of open to your own interpretation what happened there. But yeah, I had fun writing that one.
Yeah, I can tell, and it was fun hearing about it. And I feel like you're very good at creating both characters and like weird people and characters
Mm.
and like creature things. I feel like in your books, you have a lot of unique people and sort of like, since it's a fantasy book, you have like different types of creatures, not just humans. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and you do well with fantasy and creatures like that, I feel like.
I would say I feel like if there was one weakness of this story that I wrote, I think the actual hunter himself didn't get that much of a personality. I put all the emphasis was probably on the creature, the Blobfang. It was very much the creature, and you got to hear a little bit of the creature talking about how it's not fair and the philosophy of it. And
Mm-hmm.
whereas the hunter is very, very minimal. All you get is, okay, maybe he's not a bloodthirsty hunter. You know, he's a monster hunter, and he's obviously listening. He's got a little bit of sympathy about him, but that's all you really know. So he was very much not a deep or complex character in this, I would say. And that was probably the one weakness. But I think that also came down to just this was 800 words or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have that much space to work with that. So I decided to lean into the creature more since the creature is the whole kind of point of this exercise.
Yeah, I
So,
feel like sometimes it helps to make one character plain or like less talkative, maybe to like highlight another thing that's more
true.
interesting. Especially if their dialogue highlights
Mm.
the other person's or things dialogue. Like I feel like the monster hunter is set up for a very good conversation with this creature.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's good. Yeah. Having only dialogue is a bit of an issue for
Hmm.
me because personally I like more descriptions of the scene and of the people or things around. So I feel like there's something about just dialogue that doesn't quite fulfill what I want
Yeah.
in a description of things.
Yeah, I get that. I actually had considered for even at the start of the story, maybe I should have done just one paragraph setting the scene and then have it just dialogue.
Hmm.
Because that could have just given it a little bit of like
Hmm.
backing before I jumped into it. And I feel like that
Yeah.
probably would have helped with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I
Or
think
even
so.
just describing the monster hunter as he entered the room before
Hmm.
the conversation started. Just something like
Yeah.
that probably would have done good to set the scene.
Hmm.
So I agree that would have been something to do. In the end, I ended up just going for all dialogue, which is whatever. But yeah, I think you are right. I think some descriptions could have enhanced it, or even just the odd little thing said in between
Yeah.
the dialogue.
But that's just me. But I think it's very interesting to try and use only dialogue
Mm,
as well. And I think you did very well having descriptions of things, even if it's only dialogue. And that's like a skill that's hard to master, I feel like. So it's just me personally, since I like reading more descriptive things. Yeah, that's why I would have maybe liked something else other than the dialogue.
Yeah,
But I think dialogue heavy things are very good though. So
yeah.
I don't mind if it's heavy. But yeah, as you said, maybe something in the start just to set the scene would have been nice.
I definitely think I could have, as we kept saying there, I could have done some little paragraph just about the hunter entering this house.
Yeah.
And then it could have started. I just like keep everything else exact same, but
Hmm.
just at the start, have just a little paragraph describing him entering the scene, just setting the scene a little bit.
Yeah, but since we kind of agreed to do a dialogue heavy story, I feel like that's sort of why you decided to do it this way. And I feel like,
Sure.
yeah, what?
I was
Sure.
going to say sure, but we didn't say no dialogue. Sorry, no descriptions.
Yeah.
We said just focus on dialogue, maybe minimal descriptions. But I
Yeah.
still expected to write some descriptions,
Mm.
but then for some reason I just ended up not doing that. I was like, you know what,
You know what?
you
Yeah, but
know,
I feel like it's fun to try different things anyways. Like since you already are very good at dialogue, it's sort of a good way to do it for
mm,
you. I don't think I could have done it like that. So for me, I would not do well with just dialogue. But I did
yeah,
have a lot of dialogue in this because we said we would. So
yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear yours. If we can, I think we should move on to that now. And
okay, my story is called The Gungerer.
the Gungrer. How do you say that 3 times fast, please? I beg you.
The Gungerer, the Gungerer, the Gungerer. You say it.
The Gungrer, the Gungrer, the
The
Gungrer, the Gungrer,
Gungerer.
the Gungrer, the Gungrer, the Gungrer. It just sounds that's a hard word to say for me. I don't know why. Gungrer, the Gungrer. Okay, I'm excited to hear this because what the fuck is a Gungrer?
Okay,
Sounds
I'll
gross.
get right into it. Soft. This is soft. The small creature smiled widely, a few teeth peeking out. The 6 teeth that were left, sharp but clearly rotting. As soft as concrete. Now tell me where you found it. Terry rolled her eyes. She didn't expect another one of these things to come stealing from the locals, simply because there were so few of them left. She'd seen 3 Gungers in 2 weeks, and another monster that she couldn't catch, a dark being that disappeared in the shadows. I told you, it's mine. The Gungrer hugged the red gem close to his chest, the gem about the size of his head. It has a sticker with a price on it. Did you buy it then? With what money? She stalked after the thing as it waddled towards the door. Money? I have it. I have it, he said, as if I don't know your kind uses mealworms as currency. Filthy Gungrers. She grabbed his long back hair and pulled him to the floor. Hey, I have a name, you know. And what's that? Morwort. Come on then, Morwort, hand it over. His callous 3-fingered hands ran over the surface of the gemstone. You can't fool me with those big eyes. It doesn't work when you smell like a rotting carcass. I smell? He sniffed his arm. You smell really bad, yes. She reached out for the gem. I don't think so. And wait, I just need a second with her. She's speaking to me. He rubbed his thumb over the shiny gem, smudging it with his oily hands. Terry released a sigh of dread, sitting down with her back against the door. You know I have bigger monsters to catch, right? I know a big monster. He smells, actually he smells, and like me. I've seen him near the fir woods. Oh? Tell me more. He's a big meanie, and he eats all the mealworms nearby. He doesn't talk like me, but he runs really fast. Do you know what monster this is, Morwort? Have no idea. But you know, if you let me keep this soft, soft red beauty, I might have an idea where you can find him. His brown eyes gleamed red as he stared lovingly at the gem. A smile took over her face. She had an idea for this little Gungerer. Oh really? I suppose I could ask Miss Tella if she would agree to letting you have the gem, but I don't think helping me this one time will be enough. Tella, I have help to give. I can give help. Morwood jumped up and down, his thin, hairy legs wobbling. I'm sure you know a lot about the monsters in the area, don't you? Yes, yes, I know. There's a ground grinder in the area. Do you know of it? Ground. The one who ate the greens growing at the human's farm? That's the one. So you know of the incident? Word spread fast. We have our ways. And for once, he looked like an intelligent little man. Though she knows they are, it's surprising coming from creatures that mostly act and look like hairy children. If you can find that thing for me, I'll give you more than just this gem, Morwort. More? More soft things? His eyes lit up. Of course, anything you want. And that was how Terry the Monster Hunter found her most unusual little monster partner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Immediately, that thing, just the descriptions you had of that thing at the start, I was like, what the hell? The mealworms was it mealworms as currency they used? And the part where they were dragging its hairy back, I was like, oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, this was, yeah. It certainly had me
Yeah.
feeling. And the Morwort, just,
Morwort.
you always compliment my names for characters, but you definitely had good names here. Good words, good names, good
Thank
little
you.
descriptions. You did very well with the dialogue. I think it all sounded really good. It's flowed pretty well.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, so I don't know why you always say that you're not great with dialogue, because the dialogue here was great. It was all good.
Thank you. Well, I never said that, like I'm not the best at dialogue, but I can do it, but it's not like something I focus on the most, you know?
Yeah.
But it was kind of fun writing this. Also, I wrote it pretty fast compared to like everything else I've written. So I get why you say like writing dialogue often like
Yeah.
makes it kind of
It's
easier. Yeah.
hmm The flow just, I don't know what it is, but it's just the flow. It just feels faster, and you start writing the dialogue, and it's a conversation, and it's shooting back and forth, and it's very easy to know where it's going, because you just think, oh, what would they respond? What would they respond? What would they respond? And it's instead
Right.
of, whereas it gets harder when you're starting to think, oh, I need to think of a description, and then I wanted to make it sound pretty, and I need to do this, because then you're actually having to draw something. You have to make it up yourself. Whereas the
Yeah.
dialogue, once you know the characters, they almost just take
Yeah.
over from you. As their personalities take over, you're just kind of there to guide it along.
Hmm.
Um,
I
but
noticed something we did
mm,
very similarly. How we introduced their names. It was like, I have a name, you know, or like,
yeah,
you know, I have a name or whatever.
yeah, saying,
And
yeah,
yeah,
use
yeah,
my
yeah.
name. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, yeah, you're right. We did do that very similar. I like that yours was a little bit more. It was less dark. Yours was a bit more, even though it was like a kind of disgusting little creature. Your thing was less dark for sure. Whereas you tend to lean into doing a bit more dark sounding things, whereas this time you
Hmm.
didn't. And you've actually
Yeah,
taken probably one of the darkest subjects we could have had and not done the dark thing, which I'm
true.
surprised about, and I think was actually really cool that you did that. And yeah, it wasn't even really, there was no nastiness really here. I mean, maybe a little bit, but at the end it was a friendship that's created. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that you've done that spin on it as well. That was pretty cool. And the three fingered, I'm trying to imagine this little creature is small. At first, it almost made me think of some sort of little goblin or something. And then when you were just talking about hairy children, I was like, oh, it's like a hobbit.
True. Yeah. I was like, is this too similar to a Hobbit? But then I was like, no, it's more similar to Gollum, maybe, but
Hmm.
not quite really. I kind of liked doing this kind of more in a fun way because I just imagined a monster hunter with a monster sidekick, and I
Hmm.
thought that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I like that. I like the idea of sort of monster sidekicks and stuff. That's not. I feel like that's not something you see very often.
Yeah,
Monster sidekicks.
true.
I can't think of any. I'm sure there are examples,
Oh,
but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
this guy.
Sure, but he's more. He's a demon. He's not really a monster. It's not quite the same.
Okay, true. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a demon and angel on your shoulder, you know?
yeah, yeah. I can't. I'm sure there are examples of monster companions, but I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Probably really stupid of me. It's probably so obvious. People will be screaming listening to this. What about this and this and this? I'll be like, oh yeah, duh.
Oh, in Stranger Things, just because we just talked about it, it's the D'Artagnan. At first, he's like not a companion, but maybe kind of friends with Dustin. You
Mm,
remember? The
no,
Demogorgon? You
wait, is
don't
he?
remember?
It's been so long. Was that like the first season or something?
Yeah, I think so, actually.
Yeah, I've not
Yeah.
watched the first season since the first season released, and that must be like 6 years
Mm.
ago now, maybe longer. I feel like that was
Wow.
forever ago.
Well, Dustin makes friends with this tiny little Demogorgon, and
Mm,
like I think at the end of something, he actually the Demogorgon saves Dustin somehow. So they kind of worked as friends. I think
I see.
weird, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I hate this whole this whole thing at the moment of it's like 3 years between every season of TV, or 2 years
Yeah,
at minimum.
that's
If
how
it's
is it
not a year,
taking
fuck off.
slower? How are things going slower? How are things
It's because they're giving
worse
everything such a
quality?
huge. Well, yeah, they're giving them huge budgets, yet it looks worse. Like all these, well,
Right. I'm
Stranger
like,
Things isn't looking
how?
worse. Stranger Things, for example, looks
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
really, really
Or
good.
House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel, that
Mhm.
looks really good. Good production value. So there's stuff like that they do really well. But most
Arcane.
of these shows, yeah, and that's yeah. But most of these shows, they're giving them 2 years, 3 years, and they don't look that great. It's why are they spending all this money and then the things flop or whatever? You don't need that amount of
Right.
money. That's insane. And I lose interest. I
True.
forget what's actually happened. I forget. I have to go watch like a recap to before I start watching the next season because it's
True.
been 3 years and I don't remember what's just happened. I hate it.
Right.
I would rather they just don't do that.
I think they also, it's not just because of the budgeting, it's because of people like not starting making it before they are sure they are going to make another season, and then they wait and see
Well, sometimes they
if
do. No, but
it's
sometimes
going
they
well.
know. A lot
Yeah,
of the time,
sometimes.
actors for these things, they've signed multiple season deals. Like Stranger Things, for example. I don't know the details, but I'm sure they probably did for season one. And then
Hmm.
the rest of the actor, when they knew they were doing season two, they probably all signed deals for another 2 or 3 seasons at that point.
Yeah,
That's probably what happened. When they do stuff like Game of Thrones and all these other shows, that's what they do. They sign the cast to all these deals. Sometimes I think that is part of the issue because when they try and bring in big stars, and when you bring in big stars, you then have to start working around their schedule, which then slows things down, and you can only film at this time or do this. So I think that does make a big difference. But it's just
true.
annoying. And then as well, you wait 3 years and you only get like 6 episodes. Whereas it used to be you would get 13
Right.
episodes or
Oh,
something
Jesus.
every single year. Like
Hmm.
when Breaking Bad was airing, which like it's considered generally like one of, if not the greatest TV show ever by like critics and stuff,
Hmm.
they had just a season every year, and it was like
Right.
13 episodes every time.
Yeah, it's
It's insane.
weird.
I mean, I
Also,
guess they didn't really have so many
like,
special effects and stuff like the
yeah.
fantasy things, but it's still it's insane how long these things actually take.
Yeah, and also special effects used to be better somehow. I feel like it's gone downhill, and like the graphics and everything.
Yeah,
Some things are very good, but other things I don't get how they spend that much money and then have that bad graphics when they could
yeah.
make it work in the past.
I feel like sometimes practical effects age much better. Like if you go watch the original Alien movie and a lot of stuff that
True.
had practical effects that you can tell that they're fake, but they age
Hmm.
much better. Whereas old CGI does not age very well because stuff
It
improves so
does.
much. Old tech looks terrible. It might look good at the moment, but it tends to look terrible later. Whereas I think practical, although I say that it's like one of the best looking CGI films ever was Pirates of the Caribbean,
Lord
Dead
of the
Man's Chest,
Rings.
and well, I was going to say because Davy Jones
Oh
when he's
yeah,
got
he
this,
was
like people
insane.
constantly point to him, and now he's still better than pretty much anything else you'll see. I think
That's
the
what I'm
best thing probably is
saying.
Avatar or something. Those are all like really impressive visuals,
And those are
but
older films,
yeah,
and they're still better than most of the things in CGI that comes out now.
yeah.
And probably they spent I don't know about the budget, but
Well,
and
the
I don't
budgets
know
are
about the
huge.
time they used either.
I would think I don't know, I'm not too knowledgeable about it, but I've read things online before about animations and stuff, and or like people that for Marvel, for example, the Marvel movies in the MCU, and the people were saying why does this movie look so crap, whereas they had better visuals than the one before, but this one's got a better budget, and apparently part of the reason is because Marvel and Disney are very, very harsh with the time, and these people are overworked, and
Mm,
so they're having to rush to get things out, and so it ends up
I
not
get
being
that.
great. Whereas they might have a huge budget, but the huge budget is being forced on them super quick. They don't have a lot of time
Yeah.
to perfect it and actually get it right.
I
So I
keep
would
thinking
assume that's
about
part of it.
that one scene in The Hobbit where Legolas is like running up some like stones
Oh
or
yeah, he
something,
just
and it
starts
looks
walking
so
up the stones in
stupid.
midair. Yeah, just defies gravity.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings had better CGI than The Hobbit, and it's so much older. I find that
Yeah,
so crazy, and
I
they
feel like
should be able to
yeah.
make it
My
good
understanding is they
because.
also used more like practical real locations and stuff for the Lord of the Rings compared to the Hobbit. It was
Yeah.
just the actual technical it was a much harder thing to make because of the way they filmed it and stuff. Anyway, we're a bit off track. We've been talking about movies now and TV shows for like 10 minutes, so let's shut up about that. Back to your story.
Isn't he cute?
He doesn't look quite. For some reason, I was imagining him a bit more greenish, but
He's kind of gray.
and he's smaller than I expected. I think because that's a ruby he's holding.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like what you've done here. It looks really cool. I like even you've got a little part about hairy limbs and then the eyes. Yeah, I like how you've laid this all out. It looks really good. And those eyebrows, though, what the hell?
Yeah,
Those are eyebrows, right?
they're very hairy things. Those
Very
are
hairy.
eyebrows.
That was the most disgusting part of your description, saying when they grabbed the back of his back hair and dragged him. I was like, I could actually, I'm not,
Yeah.
for some reason, I was imagining it being really slimy, but also hurting him. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about this thing.
Okay. These creatures are small, intelligent beings that could well be mistaken as a human fetus if it weren't for the body hair and wrinkles. They have large eyes and massive eyebrows, only 3 fingers and toes. Their body the size of a porcelain doll, with pointy limbs. Eyes that turn red with a strange conviction. Dangers. They do not follow human rules or laws. They enjoy lying and stealing. They easily gain obsessions and can turn into excellent manipulators for the sake of their obsessions.
That's a great drawing. I love that thing. And they are smaller than I was thinking. You probably actually said how small they were in the thing. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's just smaller. Seeing them with the little ruby, it's just smaller than I was imagining when you were reading.
Well, it's a big ruby. So
True. But even you said porcelain doll. For some reason, I don't know why I was still imagining him very small, but I didn't quite imagine that small. Like this guy you could throw in your handbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would break if you pushed him too hard.
Yeah, imagine him like on the Monster Hunter's shoulder just hanging out.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. Yeah, he could actually be like a little just on your shoulder companion.
A little monster familiar
Wouldn't weigh
guy.
much at all. The mealworm thing still pretty gross though. I like the eyes. He looks crazy with those eyes.
Yeah, he's kind of crazy. Yeah.
So are these things like kind natured or are they?
I did say dangerous. They can be like lying, manipulative, stealing, but they don't really like hurt people because they're
so not
too
dangerous.
small.
Yeah,
too small.
But okay, well, what about other creatures? Are they dangerous to other creatures?
To mealworms and rodents,
just to
because that's what they
rodents.
eat.
Yeah, but like, would they go attack a dog or a cat or something? I mean, they probably get their ass kicked.
I don't think so. I think they would rather want to have a cat as a pet and ride it like a mount.
I can see that now. I'm seeing this little guy riding the cat. Yeah, you need to draw that now.
Yeah,
that's pretty
cool. Cute.
I like that. No, your page that you've done is gorgeous. I like it. Oh. I like his little pointy shoulders.
Yeah, pointy limbs.
Yeah, I like the pointy parts, the elbows and the shoulders, and the eyebrows. I feel like I've met someone who looks like him.
Who? That's crazy.
That's a tale for another time. How old do these things live?
Dude, I have no idea. Maybe
you not thought about that. I'm asking you all the questions.
Not thought about that.
How old do these live? You're like, I don't know.
Let me think. Maybe because they're pretty small. Like, imagine a human being that small. Wouldn't we live longer if we were smaller? Because you know, big dogs live shorter, and small dogs live longer.
Taller people live, on average. Taller people live less than shorter people.
Really? Okay, so they probably live to like 120 or 150.
I don't think it's a huge difference, like with the size, but I mean these things are tiny, so maybe that would be a huge difference.
I'm pretty tall.
So tall, so strong. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I've seen a lot of your creature drawings. That's probably one of my favorite creature drawings you've done.
Wow, thank you. That's very sweet.
Just looking at it, it's got a lot of personality.
I like drawing weird creatures, so this was fun.
And really I like that you put the sort of parchment behind it as well. I tried that with mine, but it wasn't showing up very well because I didn't have color on my carrot, so it looked a bit stupid. So I took it away. You could almost have this as a little start or prequel before you then write about the adventure of these people together.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Like, or you could have some larger fantasy novel or something where these are just a couple of the side characters in it or traveling around. This is just their little origin story. Good story. I think you did very good with the dialogue, considering you say it's not the thing you're best at, not something you do a lot of. But no, I thought it all flowed very well. Nothing about the dialogue stood out to me being like, oh, that was awkward, or that didn't flow right, or didn't sound right. It all sounded pretty decent to me. And you
Thank you.
even you read most of it pretty well as well. You didn't have that many stumbles. Your
Oh,
stumbles were actually during the descriptions more than the dialogue. I feel like dialogue is so much easier to read as well.
it is, but also I don't feel like I do well reading dialogue because I can't properly give the characters a voice.
Hmm.
It's more like me just talking.
That's just something you practice and learn.
No, but
Like you don't
I'm just
have to
not
have
like that.
distinct.
I can't do it. I'm not
Yes, you
like
can.
no. I
And
can't.
you don't have to have like some fancy voice. All you need to do is change. It could even just be another version of your voice. It's just make one voice a bit more high pitched and
Yeah,
one's just your normal voice.
I tried with the monster, just
Yeah,
giving
you
it a
did.
bit
Yeah,
of
it's
a
just
different voice.
just that little bit to differentiate them so that they just sound a little bit different. Is
Yeah,
or even if you speak faster, will you speak as one, or speak slower? Is just because
yeah,
just change. You don't have to put on a totally different voice. Just change it slightly, and that's
yeah.
good.
I do try that, but I don't think it. I don't think
Comes
people.
across.
Yeah, comes across. Yeah,
I think it's just probably your accent, to be honest.
yeah. Life is hard.
Life is so hard. Everything's awkward. Just living's awkward. I hate living.
I laugh at everything and anything. I feel like
Wow, that's you're not supposed to say that because now when I think I've written something funny, it's oh well I'm not you're not laughing because it's funny. You're laughing just because you laugh. See?
yeah. No, I mean, I do think it's funny, and I feel like
Yeah,
I do laugh a lot because I find a lot of things funny. So
yeah. No,
doesn't mean it's not
I think
funny.
it's good. I think it's a good quality to laugh at a lot of things, rather than be a miserable shit who just sits here like
Like you.
that's that was so mean. I laugh all the time.
No, but you're like with TV shows and stuff. You're like, I usually don't laugh at anything unless it's like somebody like doing something really stupid or making a fool out of themselves, and I'm like, I find so much
Yeah.
more things funny
I
than
don't
just
usually
that.
laugh at actual comedies. I usually laugh
That's so
at things that
weird.
aren't comedies and something stupid happens that I don't expect, or someone says something funny that I don't expect. When I'm watching something that's trying to make me laugh, I just I struggle because I'm expecting it. It's when I'm not expecting it that I start thinking it's funny. Your lips just turned black with venom. It's going to be a strange cut in the podcast where it just cuts to your lips have changed color.
They're not changing color. I just put on
Is
some
that
more.
because you've been kissing a blub fang?
Oh, maybe. That's gross.
That's really gross. It's pretty disgusting. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little discussion about what might happen if our creatures were to meet each other. If a blubfang and and
Gungrer.
a gungerer were to meet each other.
I think my creature would be very scared. The Gungrer would probably try and talk its way out of any danger. Maybe it would get like an obsession with the creature and like ask a lot of questions, depending on if it's
Yeah,
hostile or not.
I think what would likely happen is the blubfang would take your little gungerer as easy work. I think it would
Yeah,
befriend it, and I think it would wait until it's asleep, and then it would just devour it.
possibly
Because I
because
think
it's
it's a
so small.
small, easy target. Yeah, and
Yeah.
these things they want small, easy targets because they're vulnerable to big things, dangerous things.
Mm.
I would imagine maybe though your Gungor could put in like a couple of good hits if they've got like pointy fingers and stuff. They
Limbs.
could
Yeah.
they could slice this thing up because they're very fleshy and flabby. These blood
Hmm.
fangs, so it could do a
Yeah.
little bit of damage in that sense. But
Yeah.
again, like these
Depending on the
creatures,
size of the blob fang, because I
yeah,
feel like your blobs they can be small or can
yeah,
be big. So if it's very
yeah.
small, I feel like my thing could have a chance. It's not like they're weak, it's just that they're small. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and they do essentially start. I said they could be the size of a small kitten, so they could be the
Yeah.
same size as your thing.
Hmm.
So it does depend how much it's feasted, as long as your thing avoids getting bit by it. I suppose
Yeah.
avoids getting the paralyzed by the venom.
I feel like my thing is more of a talker, so it would more be likely to try and talk its way out of a situation or deceive or like try and make the spider believe something weird or something, or say to it that like I can help you like find something even better to eat or whatever.
I would think that that my thing is highly intelligent, and I think it might go along with it, and it's going, oh, you're finding me something nicer to eat, and it's going to go along and it's going to eat the nicer
Hmm.
thing, then it's going to eat your thing. It's going to
Yep,
eat, yeah, it's
I
going to
think
eat them
so
both.
too.
Yeah, I think
I think
it's probably not
yours,
going to end
yeah.
well for the Gungror.
No, I don't think
The
so.
Gungror's best chance is to run away because it's small. I imagine them being pretty quick.
Yeah, I think they're pretty decent
The
speed, like
Blobfangs,
a tiny humans
yeah,
running.
yeah. Blobfangs can be quick because they've got 8 legs, so obviously they're going
Hmm.
to be pretty nimble. But as they get bigger and they've got more flab and flesh and stuff, it becomes a little bit
Hmm.
harder for them to move. They're a bit more weighed down and
True.
stuff. So that's where, because their legs don't really grow the same way as that the rest of them do. So in theory,
Hmm.
like these things are going to get
Interesting.
big and still have smaller legs.
Okay, so if my thing runs as fast as it can,
That might
maybe
be
it
its
would
best
stand a
chance.
chance.
Yeah, its best chance is to run away.
Yeah, I think it would try to run away, but if it couldn't, it would definitely try and like talk and talk and talk its way out of any danger situation.
I think if yeah, and again, if they were to just come down to a straight up fight, it's going to depend on the sizes. If they're the same
True.
size, your thing's got a chance as long as it avoids getting
Yeah.
bit. Then I think it has a
Yeah.
chance because these things are fleshy and whatever. But if this thing's grown and it's big, I think your thing's a little bit fucked. The Gungor's
Yeah, I
fucked.
think so.
It's going to get devoured like it devours the mealworms and the rodents. That's going to become lunch. To be fair, the Blobfang might not pay that much attention because I don't think it's getting that much eating out of your thing. It's maybe not worth the effort. Maybe it'll go for it if it's it's not going to chase after you because too much effort.
Yeah. My things are very bony and
Yeah,
skinny and small, so I don't know if the spider would actually get that much food out of it.
yeah.
Like if it's fat.
It's maybe more of a thing that it would only do it if it was an easy target, but it's not going to put the work in because it's not worth it. It's not worth the time and the effort for such a small, skinny, bony
Yeah.
thing. But if it's already there and it's just easy, like why not? I get a little bit to feed on.
They could make a deal that the the Gungrer actually provides it with actual good meals, like things that suit its diet more,
Yeah, it helps it find things.
because my thing is very smart and very like he knows a lot of things. He knows his way around like the animal world
Yeah,
and the human world even, so he could definitely find something better for the spider to eat, so maybe they
you could
could
potentially
actually
find
work
new leads.
together.
Yeah,
My thing catches rodents and stuff, so it could probably just catch food
mm.
for it.
Yeah,
And I think it would be able to talk his way into that arrangement.
yeah. I do think the thing that's going to save your thing from being attacked or anything is the fact that it's probably not worth the effort. What is your favorite monster? Do you have a favorite monster?
Okay, so do vampires count as
Yeah,
monsters?
it would count as a monster.
I do love vampires a lot. I also like ghostly dark beings. Like
Mm-hmm. Zombies, your favorite?
I fucking hate zombies. They're the fucking worst. I hate zombies more than everything ever.
More than everything ever. That's a pretty
Okay.
strong statement.
More than like any other
Monster.
monster. Well, your thing might be up there cuz
Wow.
damn,
I
yuck.
thought you were going to give it a kiss.
No. Can you say some monsters?
Monsters, Frankenstein's monster,
I love
werewolves.
Frankenstein. I'm not too big of a fan of werewolves. They give Twilight. I don't know. Even though vampires
True.
also do, but I like the old type of Dracula,
The classic monsters.
classic style vampires, not the pretty boy high school vampires.
Yeah, I think it kind of dumbs them down when you do that.
Yeah.
There's
I
something
like
cool
that
and
they're
classy
actually
about the old ones.
dangerous. They
Yeah.
need to be actually dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're much more rare. And I feel like it spoils it when suddenly you've
Yeah.
got 300 vampires and you've got a whole family of them and this
Yeah.
and
And
that.
I
I feel
don't
like it.
like them
Yeah.
I don't like them looking like just a human with fangs. I want them to look like really fucked up and
Yeah.
with like super pale and almost gray or blue skin
Yeah.
even. Like and huge ass teeth and like wild eyes.
Or I really like it with vampires when they're actually not sort of human formed, but then they maybe take on the shape of a human. It's like
Right.
when we did that
Yeah.
short film, and it was the whole point was the character, your character who was a sort of vampire could
Mm-hmm.
not speak, and it's because there was something more animalistic to it. You weren't actually a human; you just appeared to be a human,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that sort of vampire.
Yeah.
Where
Me too.
they're actually some more monstrous thing that maybe has taken the shape, kind of like how a vampire could transform into a bat or whatever. It's taken the
Mm-hmm.
shape of a person maybe, but its true form is actually something much more hideous, and
But
it's just
I looked
camouflage.
horrible in that thing on purpose. So yeah.
You looked horrible in that thing on purpose.
Yeah.
What What do you mean you looked horrible?
I did my makeup to look like as if I've lived in the forest alone for 100 years, instead of making my like doing my pretty makeup, So I
Yeah,
looked
you did.
horrible.
You look a little bit more ill and stuff. Yeah. No, but yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely prefer that sort of vampire. I don't know what my favorite monster is, to be honest.
Really, you need to have one.
I don't think I do have one favorite
Zombies.
monster. No, I don't. I'm not a fan of zombies either. Actually, I like some
Mm-hmm.
zombie media, but actual
Mm-hmm.
zombies themselves, I find them kind of stupid and boring.
They are boring and also super disgusting and ugly, and I hate them.
I don't have that
Anyways,
same visceral reaction as you. I just tend to think, "Wow, they're walking towards me."
no, but
I don't.
the
I don't
body
find it so frightening.
movements, it's so gross the way it moves, and like groans and it's just gross. I hate it.
You're just so
Anyways, yeah.
squeamish sometimes, which is strange because
I don't
just
usually. Yeah, it's just for zombies, really. Other things are pretty fine for me. I don't know what it is about
mm,
zombies.
no,
I
you're
think
pretty easily grossed out by a lot of things.
you're even more grossed up by a lot of things. You're like, ew, the texture of normal food.
Okay. Well, is today just a
So
roast session? That's like the third time you've insulted me this episode.
I'm sorry.
I'm
But
being
it's true.
absolutely
It's just,
destroyed. One of our last episodes, I was slurping, and you were like, "Yuck, that's disgusting."
yeah, it's different. Like, some things are just, you know,
Some things are just, great philosophical thought there.
mhm.
You should write that down. I'm going to quote
Some
you on
things
that.
are just, it's a
Some
tweet.
things, yeah,
Tweet.
some things are
Hit
just,
tweet. Send
yeah.
tweet.
I'm just going to be boring and say, "Oh yeah, vampires are cool."
Yes, agree. Yay.
Yeah, okay.
Vampires.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with
Love
vampires.
that.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah.
Yes. We agreed on something. That's cool.
We agree on things all the time, don't we?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Don't we?
I
Were
think we do.
you? Yeah, okay, sometimes.
Just sometimes.
Okay,
Sometimes.
okay,
We
okay.
can't even agree that we
A lot of
agree.
times. Yeah.
You're just so disagreeable.
No, you're the one who's disagreeable.
No, today you're disagreeable.
Okay, maybe I'm in a bad mood today.
That's it.
I feel
Yeah.
like,
That's why you're wearing the glasses. It's like glasses signal bad mood.
no, I'm just being lazy today.
Interesting.
I don't feel like having something inside my eyes right now.
I never feel like having something inside my eyes.
No, but
Okay.
girls gotta live with contacts sometimes. Okay, thank you guys for watching. We've had a great time talking about monsters and beasts and creating these cute little weird monster guys and writing stories. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
see you guys
Anyways.
later.
And remember to check out ghostbookarchive.com for all of our links, all our socials, and everything else. Make sure to keep up with us and tune in next week.
Bye.
Bye.